Hey guys, this is Chris Fayte with Cheat the Game coming back at you. Today we're just going to take a quick look at updating past script. Now this is in regards to when you come out with your scripts for a certain game and then they update. They'll update the game and then sometimes these scripts won't work anymore. The reason being is that these addresses will change and it may not find it. That's why we do recommend, when possible, to try to use an AOB scan module. And usually the AOBs, if there's not too big of changes, sometimes it will still find those locations, sometimes it won't, but to make it easier to update. Now you can do it a certain way in which you can update it for both, where it will always work for any version that it comes out with, because roughly these areas are going to be the same. That's a little bit harder, and it's more of a trial and error type thing, so it's really kind of hard to teach that or show that. But you just basically make the AOB longer with some wildcards in there that will probably change in the next update, and to make sure that it's still unique on bytes that will not change. And like I say, that's real trial and error, and you got to really know your bytes. But we're just going to do a basic update from a previous version. Now this is my cheat table for Agony, and this is the previous version they came out with, the Agony cheat table, version 201.806.02, and they have updated to the 6.10 version now. So we are checking, or I went in there to check to see if these scripts still work. I've already checked health. Both the health still work like they should. The health in this game is real dodgy anyway. Certain aspects you don't want health to work, like there's certain areas that you need to transverse from one being to another being, so you have to get killed in order to do that. However, mostly this is for when fire hits you, or when you got to go through sections and a swarm of bugs are coming around you, or things like that, things that would drain your health, like going underwater. It's health drain more like it, not things that will kill you instantly. That being said, so the health does work. This guy here says that his health isn't working, but I'm not sure what he's referring to, because it was working just fine when I tested it in the new version. So there's really nothing we need to do. What I recommend doing is that when the game is updated, instead of using an address, use your name instead. Whatever you named that specific scan, name it here as well. And you can just kind of avoid that altogether. So the health does work like it should. Now I'll go test it some more later, and I've tested this with the bugs. I have not tested it with the fire yet, but I'll do that later. But for right now, what we're having trouble with, and let me get this off because I was just playing around with it just a second ago, is the infinite astral timer. And when I go to click it, it no longer cuts on. That means these bytes, some of these bytes may have changed. So basically what I want to iterate is, first of all, when you make your scripts and the game will probably update, and you want to keep your scripts updated to make a new version of the trainer for people that may come to your site or things of that nature, like I say, always use AOB scripts as much as possible. It will make it so much easier for you. If you're just using code injection, you're practically going to have to rehack the game again, because these addresses change, these module addresses will change, and the offsets, the module address should stay the same, but these offsets will change and the addresses will change. So I recommend the AOBs, because roughly these are just the instructions in byte form, and they usually stay the same. There's certain aspects of them that'll change, especially when it's moving a value from a specific address. Well, that address is changed in memory, but the instruction would still be the same usually. So that's what we have to work around. So I always recommend still leaving your snapshots in your scripts. If you want to save two different copies of it, one for you that has this information, and then one that you may give out to other people without the information, that's totally up to you. But for your own purposes, always save your snapshots, never take them out, just in case you want to update, because this does have valuable information that can help you out without having to go back and rehack the game. So let me save what I got so far and get back to the game. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, without having to rescan for Astral Primer, we're going to update this AOB to get it working again. Okay. Okay, so with the game up and the level that I'm on at the moment, and I've been through testing this through this new update. But basically what we're looking at, like I said earlier, is we're trying to update our scripts, and we have to go through and test each one of them. Now, I have not tested stamina. I have tested stealth. I have not tested 999, knowledge and spirit, which are skill points, and I have not tested demon timer. But as you can see, it's finding these locations, and more than likely these are going to work. I have tested health because I'm at a bug area now where you lose health, and I'm going to have them kill me in just a minute because I need to check on astral time. So as you can see, I was able to walk through there without getting hit once, and that's because the health is working. But what the problem is here, let me bring this over here a little bit, is that the astral timer, when I click on it, does not come up. Now, the astral timer is when you die, you can continue the game. However, you got to possess another person. It's called a martyr in the game, and you continue on in that body to continue your game. So really, when you die, you're not really dead. It doesn't end your game unless you just run out of astral timer or do not have anybody else you can possess. Then you got to start over at the checkpoint or wherever you happen to be. So what we need to do is, how can we update this AOB script to work? Now, I am going to describe how you can update these AOBs to work for any future version that may come out, and the only reason I'm going to describe it is because I'm not going to actually sit here and do it, because it takes some time, it's trial and error, and you probably need 2 or 3 versions to check it out on, and I just don't have that. So, but I will tell you how to do it as we update this one. The first thing you want to do, and I always recommend this when you make an AOB script, is take out the address. You don't really need it. As long as it's the same module, it's only going to scan these AOBs in that modules, and the address itself does help it get to it quicker, but it's not necessarily that much quicker. So just go ahead and change it to whatever your AOB script or AOB scan name is, and that's what the name of the instruction is going to be, where it finds it. Usually that's the very first byte of the instruction that it finds, or wherever it finds it. But anyway, just change it to whatever the name is, and that's fine. You don't even have to do that. So what we want to do is take this AOB, we're going to copy that, Control C, and we're going to come over here to Cheat Engine. Now, I've had to go back to 6.7. I've had some issues with 6.8 crashing down on me and access violations, and I'm sure Dark Byte is aware of that, so give him some time to iron that out a little bit, and hopefully we can update it to 6.8 a little bit later on. But for right now, I'm going back to 6.7. What I always do is change writable to readable and writable by putting in the box, and that's whether I need to or not. It's just a personal preference, but you definitely want to do this when you're scanning for an array of bytes. So that's what we're going to do with value type. Put it on array of byte, search for this array, make sure the hex is checked, and go ahead and put in your bytes. We'll do a first scan and just see what kind of hits we get. What I also recommend doing, now, I know that you may give your cheat tables out to other people. Also, you may make trainers, that you have for your site or whatever, to give out to other people or to sell to other people, whatever you do with it. So, a lot of times you're just tempted to remove the snapshot. But I recommend, if you do give out your trainers or your cheat tables and you do take out your snapshots, save a copy for yourself. Save a copy that you hand out to other people. Okay, because you want to keep these snapshots for yourself, just for this reason, if anything else, when you want to update your tables or need to update your tables, and it gives you better information to be able to find it quicker. Now, yes, I do know that you can just go back and just rehack it like you did, because you know what value to search for and yada yada yada. You can probably find it just as quick. Yeah, you can, but a lot of times these more complex codes or scripts that you may have, you may not have found that easily. A lot of times you had to do a lot of reversing to find it, and you'll have to go back in there and reverse it again to find it. Well, it's best just to do it this way, to learn this way. And also, this method is good when you have somebody else's cheat table that has allowed you access to their AOBs, and you can update it yourself, you know. But this is how we do it, and we can see that it didn't find anything. So what we want to do is we just go through here, and what I like to do is see the bytes themselves. This is what the bytes are in readable form for us, and this is what it's doing, and it's jumping, or excuse me, I'm sorry, it's using the value of this address. So more than likely it's the address that's changed, because we know the AOB address has changed, so this one probably has too, and that's probably why it's not finding it, because the address, or the bytes to that address, are right here. Alright, so what we want to do is we just want to change these one at a time to see if we get any hits. And you'll see in a minute why saving the snapshot is really a good thing to do. And what I do when I put the question marks is, this is what's called wildcarding it. Basically, we're telling Cheat Engine that there's bytes there, but they could possibly be changing. They could be different. So just wildcard it with that, or you can do it with a star. But I just used the question marks. And that didn't get any hits, so we're going to change the next byte down as well to a wildcard. And we're going to see which one of these bytes may have changed. So do a new scan and see if we start getting any hits. Okay, and you can see here now we got 2 hits. So what we want to do is we want to use our snapshot to take a look at these 2 instructions, or these 2 places in memory. So what we do is we right click on it and go to disassemble this memory region, and let's take a look, and you'll be able to tell right off the bat if it's the one you're looking for or not. And you can see it's nothing the same. Usually these functions will roughly be the same. A lot of these won't change. A lot of times usually it's just a byte or 2 that's changed. So you can see that this just is not in relation to this whatsoever. So that cannot be it. And also, I remember when I was searching for this, that it's astral time when you move around, it takes 10 off your timer each time you move. So, you know, that's good information to keep with us as well. So as much information as you can have about it, or leave yourself notes in the script itself, is always good for these situations. Alright, so let's go to the next one and let's take a look. Well, I can tell right off the bat this ain't it, because this is a value of 6. Now, unless they drastically changed it from the last one, that just cannot be it. But let's just take a look at it anyway. Let's go down here and let's put it more side by side so you can see. And you can see here there is just nothing the same at all. We can see the return down here, and this is return is all the way down here. There is nothing the same. It's only taken off 6, a 0.06, which is a very minute value, and ours is just a 10, not .10 or anything like that, just 10 float. So that's a big number difference. So that cannot be it either. Well, we can continue doing bytes, but the more hits we get, the more we're going to have to check. So what else can we do to maybe find this the same way? Well, what I like to do is I like looking for an opcode that probably has not changed at all. And I'll use those bytes to help me. And I'm just going to use the one right above it. We can see here that this is the address of our astral timer. It's moving the value into XMMO. XMMO is now holding the value of our current astral timer, and it's going to subtract 10 from it and do some more things right here. And then down here we can see it's moving the new value back into our astral timer just to do it again later. And this is only being accessed when it's actually doing that calculation. So we can see here that more than likely that has not changed. Sometimes these offsets can change. That may be the difference. So we could possibly wildcard that out, add a couple more bytes to it. But let's just see first of all if it's changed, and let's use those bytes instead, just to see if we can find it. And we only get one hit, which is good. So hopefully this will carry us to the point we need. And if we take a look here, now things are making more sense to us. If you take a look, we can compare with our snapshot right here. And let's just pick a random spot, move RBX into RCX, and then we're going to call a value, an address, and then it's going to test RAX. So let's just take a look at that point right here. Alright, move RBX into RCX, and we can see it's doing that here. It's calling a value, which would be an address, testing RAX, which would be a return value. It's jumping if equal, and we can see here jumping. So look at this, everything is practically the same, and even better, we got the comment that this value here is going to be subtracting 10. Well, I think we found it, fellas. I think that's it. And we're going to test it out. But what I want to do is, more than likely, this address has changed. We know that something in here has changed, so we want to grab that new array of bytes. So we're just going to do a mock AOB injection, and all I really want are these right here. Now, here's what you would do if you wanted to update it where it would work for any version. Is you want to compare it to this array of bytes. And yeah, I know I've got these programs that are software that will show you the difference between bytes. I'm not doing that right now. We're just going to look at it manually. It's a small array, and that's all we really need. Okay, we can see the new bytes and the old bytes right here. New up top. Let me mark that. New bytes, old bytes. Just for tutorial purposes here. And what you would want to do is you would want to go in there and wildcard any changed bytes. I tell you what, let me put the old on top. I don't want to confuse anybody. Let me put the new on bottom. So we'll say the old is on top. There we go. The new is at the bottom. How's that? And to update it for any game, we just go and see which ones are different. And we change those to a wildcard. You can see that was different. We can see that this entire byte is different. We can see this byte is different. Oops, just like that. And then what we do is we go back in there, run it back through, and see how many results we get. And then we know that since this was an update, that this particular opcode right here has remained universal, so these bytes have always been the same. So we can start adding on these bytes to the beginning of it. And let's do a new scan and just scan it again. In which we only find one location. The problem with this is you're really going to need 3. You're going to need at least 3 to expand these out to where in all 3 versions it's only coming up one time and it's finding it every time. And if a new version comes out, it could still happen. Sometimes people want to go ahead and put a few extra bytes in there just to be on the safe side. Will it still find it? And I'm using the old version to put these bytes in there. Will it still find it? Are those bytes still the same? And they are. So we can possibly use this byte right here, and it may work for a future update. And I have to stress the point, it may work. Okay? So keep that in mind. This is a trial and error thing. And we know that the beginning byte right here, so we do have to change our name down here, because this name will always represent the very first byte, regardless of what it is or where it starts at. So that astral timer 1 is now that OD and not the beginning of the function, or not the beginning of that opcode, I mean, or that instruction. So we need to count over, which is this starts at 0, 1, 2, 3. So we'll need to put a plus in hex 03 in all of these, okay, just so we're going to that address. If you see in our snapshot, we need it to be here, but now we put some bytes in front of it, so we need to go to 1, 2, and we need it to be here. Okay, does that make sense? And I've been over this before several times. And what I would like to do, instead of allocating memory, I'd rather do a direct byte manipulation. So I need to see which byte is going to change when we change this to add. The same instruction here, I want it to do that, but I don't want to allocate memory for it anymore. So what byte changes when I put add in there? And we need to take a look here. So I'll get a close-up of it, and if I change it to add, we see that the only byte that changed was 5C to 58. So we can do a direct byte manipulation, not even have to allocate memory. Let's change that back. Okay, so let's go back to our script, and we got our updated AOBs. We do need to update some things in here. Now remember, we added some bytes in front of it, so we need to change this accordingly down here. Okay, now remember, in past lessons where we discussed what this name actually is, it's the name of the beginning of the array of bytes. So whatever that first byte is, if you add bytes to the beginning of it, it's going to become that new byte. So as you can see, that new byte now starts here and not here. Okay, so now astral underscore timer 1 is that byte, which is part of that instruction, which is like the offset here. Okay, so we need to update that just a little bit, and I'm going to show you how we do that. Okay, first of all, and we got another little problem we need to address when we do this direct byte manipulation. And I'm doing this on purpose because I'm going to show you how we can combine past lessons to improve ourselves in newer stuff. Okay, and what I'm going to do, let me go over to YouTube right quick. Let's see here. And I'm going on my other account, and we're going to go over to cheat the game, and here it is right here, learning, define, and readmem. We're going to be using that also. So if you have not seen that video, I'll link it in the upper right hand corner. Go take a look at it, because this is going to come in handy for us here as well. Okay, because we're going to need it to restore accurately the correct bytes on this. Now we just learned that all we need to do is change this one byte. Alright, here's what we need to do. We know here that the byte of our AOB scan is this one right here. That is the name. Astral underscore timer 1 is this byte. So we need to count over to our instruction that we're trying to modify. So we count over in hex. It starts at 0, then 1, 2, 3. Right off the bat, we want to put down here plus 03. It's got to be in hex. So if it goes above 9, you would put A, then B, then C. Okay, so we know it will just affect these bytes right here. The only problem is that these are old bytes. Now I know we're only manipulating one byte, which is not that big of a deal. We don't necessarily have to do this just for this scenario, but let's just pretend that we do. Let's say there's several bytes that's changed. We cannot put all these bytes. That's from the old array of bytes. As you can see, they're new, and we've wildcarded them. We cannot put wildcards down here because it may not put it back accurately. So how do we make Cheat Engine put the correct bytes back in for the updated version? Well, that's where our readmem comes back into play that we learned in that past lesson. Go watch it. Alright, I went over it step by step, so I'm going to kind of breeze through it here. Okay, so what we do is we want to allocate memory and just name it something. You name it anything you want, and I always put original just for original bytes. How many bytes do we want to remember? We need to remember the new bytes, these new bytes down here. I'm sorry. We need it to remember these bytes right here. And that's what it's going to be remembering. So how many bytes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bytes. We need it to remember 8 bytes. Okay. So I'm only going to allocate 8 bytes worth of memory. Alright. So right above Astral Timer 1, which starts at OD, remember, that starts at OD because we're going to change that in just a second. We're going to put original to make sure that it stays separate from this. And we're just going to put the instruction read memory, or read mem. Alright. And what do we want it to read? We want it to read Astral Timer plus, or Astral underscore Timer 1 plus 03. Okay. We need it to go to that location, so it's going to come to here in memory, and we need to tell it what bytes do you want me to remember. So we put a comma. I want you to remember 8 bytes starting there. So it's going to remember those 8 bytes, and it's going to go store it in this allocated memory. It's just going to hold it there, the original bytes. Okay. So now we can go do our modification. And you remember, we only needed to change 5C. Okay, we know that starts at Astral Timer underscore, Astral underscore Timer 1, 03, 04, 05. That's the byte we need to change, so that's the one I'm going to change just by itself. So I'm going to put 05. That's the byte I need changed. So we put declare byte, and we're going to put 58 for the addition. That's all we really need to do for this up here. Now down here we need it to retrieve those bytes that it saved. So I'm just going to put read mem. What bytes do you need me to read? The original bytes we just saved. How many of them? Just 8. And it will put those bytes back to here. Okay. So we need to dealloc, and we also need to register a symbol, which I should have done first, of original, register symbol, the name original, so we can use it outside of its location, which we're needing to. Make sure to unregister it, and we need to dealloc it. Okay. You see how we're combining like 3 different lessons in one: direct byte manipulation, read mem, and also another where we learn to count these bytes. These are all in the tutorials on my channel. Go take a look at them. I'll link them up here as well. You can go take a look at them. I go over everything I just did here step by step in individual lessons. Okay, there's nothing new here. All right, and I think that should do it. So I'm going to, instead of hitting OK, that way I can just keep the older one just for the time being, I'm going to assign a new script to the cheat table. Let me get rid of this one. There we go. So this is this script right here, and just X. That way we still have our older script just in case. Okay. So our new script, and I'm just going to do this for myself, new Astral Timer. This is the one with our read mem, and I'm going to put it up here. That's the new one. And if everything works like it should change that sub to add, and then when we turn it off, change it back to sub. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, we turned it on. You see it changed it to add. Will it change it back to sub? And it does. Everything stays the same. And that's really good if more bytes needed to change and things like that. But the good part about it is, don't matter what these bytes would change to in the future, more than likely for any update that comes out, this script will probably work. And that's one way to go about it. So that's really what I wanted you to get out of this lesson, how to update scripts. I wasn't really going to do or go through to show you how to do it for any version that comes out, but I kind of got into it. And like I say, until another one comes out, you really don't know if that's going to really work or not. It's just trial and error with a couple of different versions, and if it continues to find it, then you got a good script. But you don't know until another version comes out. Not truly. Okay? So, but hopefully this should work for any script that comes out. And if you have an older version, that should work for an older version. So it can work for version. This should work for version 1 all the way up to this version. So that's what this is about. And we turn it on and we can go to our game and test it. I need to go get killed. So I'm going to kind of fast forward through that and we'll test out the astral timer. Alright, there we go. Alright, now our astral time should be unlimited. And we don't get a bar. But as you can see, now the graphical bar goes down, but the astral time does not. And you only get a certain amount of moves. It only goes down per move. Now I know the graphical is going down, and we're just kind of using that right now, but the internal is not. It's counting up. And it's working. I would have been out a long time ago. I would not be able to do it this long. So now let's turn it back off. And you'll see. Just remember, it was counting up, so I got a lot more time to go down now, so now let's see what happens. Okay, it's getting orange, now it's going to get red. It's going to go out, and we're going to die. And it'll start us back over at a checkpoint or earlier in the game, which I don't really care about. I'm just hacking it. I'm not really playing it. And there we go. So our astral time is now working, and we just tested it, both with it on, both with it off. It is working, and hopefully it will work if a new version comes out. And that's how you do it. That's how you can update your scripts. And that's how you can also use past lessons to help you out in your game hacking today. And you can combine lessons, and it just works for any game. These are great lessons, also on Stephen Chapman's channel and this one. I'd like to thank all my partners, my Patreon partners and donators. You too can become one. It only costs $1 a month, and it really tremendously helps us out. From the bottom of my heart, guys, thank you all so much. Without these guys, Cheat the Game could not exist. But they help me out, and they allow me to be able to come out with these touch, which I enjoy doing. I enjoy showing you what I know and what I'm learning, and I'm learning more every day. And a lot of you guys come out here and give great suggestions on things that help me out, to help me learn more. And like I say, I'm still learning too. It's just a learning process, and that's what Cheat the Game is. We learn together. And I'm always happy to hear about your successes and things like that, and what you got out of it, and how you've improved upon it. I absolutely love that. So come join us over at our Facebook page, Discord, and website. The links are all down there in the description. We'd love to have you. The only thing about Facebook is we ask that you please have an account that is over 3 months old. And if you do not, and you still want to be a part of our group, then you'll need to write us directly. And here is our address over at Gmail. Just write us there and say, listen, my account's not over 3 months on, but I really like to be a part of it. No problem, we'll let you right on in, but you'll need to request it that way. It's just our efforts to keep out spammers and keep our members safe, and we want to keep you safe as well. And we'd love to have you. We have a great time over there, and we learn a lot, and there's just all kind of everything goes on over there in gaming. So come join us over there. But this is all I have time for this go around. I will pick it back up probably in about a week or two, and we'll continue on. You guys take care. Keep on hacking. Most importantly, please enjoy yourself. That's really what it's all about. You cheat the game, fellas. Just believe me, they do not mind cheating you. You all take care now.